Good to see you back again. As I've said before, I love Australian films, so on this occasion I'm really pleased to be able to share with you another great classic Australian film. A film that is both heartwarming and heartbreaking, exquisitely photographed with a great cast. It is Careful He Might Hear You from 1983. Based on the 1963 Miles Franklin award-winning novel set in Sydney during the Great Depression and tells the story of a custody battle from the child's perspective. This is established in the film through the use of nostalgic light, towering ceilings, and the half-heard and half-understood conversations and interactions with adults. We see the ordeal through the eyes of a child, which is masterful and at a human level both touching and challenging. The story hangs on the interactions between the child PS and those who are vying for his affections and ultimately his custody. This in turn taps into the other important element of this story, social class. The truth is Australians are obsessed by class. We are heavily invested in the myth that we are a classless society. Of course we are not. Perhaps less so now than when this film was actually made. Australian cinema often speaks to class with a focus on a particular social strata, but less commonly examines the differences between the classes. In this film, the dynamics of the upper class are put up under the microscope while being juxtaposed with the plight of the blue-collar working class, all overlaid with a female point of view. This includes references to our British ties and how that too is tied up with social class. While this sounds like a complex discussion, which it is, it's a credit to the film that it doesn't lose its way and remains focused on the characters and their stories, particularly on the plight of the child, young PS. The film adaptation was initially slated to begin soon after the book was published, with initial interest in casting Elizabeth Taylor. As good an actress as she was, I can't imagine this film being any better with Taylor in it, which is one sign of what a great film this actually became. While that initial production fell over, the rights were bought by Jill Robb, who hired Mike Jenkins to adapt the screenplay, and Carl Schultz to direct. Schultz was a Hungarian emigre in the 1950s. He emerged as one of the most underappreciated Australian directors of the 1980s. In addition to this film, he was also behind deeply tender and deceptively rich films such as Goodbye Paradise and Travelling North. Schultz had the ability to affectionately bring real people to the screen, and this film is flooded with all manner of human emotions and experiences. To his credit, Schultz has us caring about them all, despite the fact that they are on opposite sides of a tense and bitter custody battle. Casting has been central to this film's success. The most important and the most notably engaging performance is that from Nicholas Gledhill, who plays PS. He was just 8 at the time of filming, this being his first screen role. The film is told from his perspective, and all the film's key moments turn on how he makes the audience feel. We are drawn in as much by his youthful beauty as his vulnerability and even his wickedness at times. But the entire film has powerful performances, including those by Robyn Nevin as Aunt Leela, the woman struggling to hold on to PS, John Hargreaves as PS's missing in action alcoholic father, and what was perhaps Wendy Hughes' best performance as Aunt Vanessa, the woman who was hoping to take PS away. Wendy Hughes was greatly respected in Australian cinema for her grace, her beauty, and for the range of characters she took on and the performances she put in. She was one of the industry's brightest stars from the late 1970s onwards, and this film likely captured her at the peak of her popularity, as well as the peak of her abilities as an actress. The film was shot in and around Sydney, mostly in Neutral Bay and Darling Point. The Horden family garden and mansion, as well as the Babworth house in Darling Point, were all used in filming. They are truly grand locations which have been sumptuously photographed for this film. The design and cinematography are notable features and add greatly to the experience. As I keep saying, it is a beautiful film to look at. This is the result of both John Stoddart's brilliant design and John Seales's superb widescreen cinematography. The film score powerfully anchors the film at every dramatic turn without ever becoming heavy-handed. Careful He Might Hear You grossed $2.4 million at the Australian box office and enjoyed a successful North American release. It was named as one of the top 10 films of 1984 by the National Board of Review in the US. It won 8 Australian Film Awards for Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor and Actress in a Leading Role, Adapted Screenplay, Costume Design, Production Design, Cinematography, and it received 5 other nominations, including for Nicholas Gledhill, but incredibly, he didn't win. And Carl Schultz was nominated for a Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. When the greatest Australian films are discussed, this film is rarely mentioned. Perhaps that's because it is a decidedly feminine film, one that is more concerned with issues of class, money and family. It is a little film about big emotions, and it's truly an unsung Australian great. Many reasons to watch this film. Nicholas Gledhill as the central character PS, he's a very sort of kind of sympathetic, touching character and puts in a really incredible performance for such a young guy in his first film. Equally, Wendy Hughes, gorgeous actress, puts in a great performance, very loving and sympathetic in what could have been a very unsympathetic role as the woman trying to take away PS. John Hargreaves, one of the leading men of Australian cinema, again, a very unsympathetic character, a drunken, absent father, but you feel for him and you feel for sort of kind of his part in this particular custody battle. And Robyn Nevin, a great Australian actress who's been in many great films, Australian films, and in many great stage performances as well. She puts in a fine performance in this film also. As I said, it's a beautifully shot film, beautiful musical score, and a story really beautifully told. Just watching the film itself is a really wonderful experience. And again, it's a film that stands alone in its particular subgenre. So the only film that's really close to it would be Kramer versus Kramer. That's a film that won 5 Academy Awards, but in my opinion, this film is even better. So my challenge to you is, watch it and tell me if I'm actually wrong about this film. So all you need to do is go to our website, click on the link, to this particular film, watch it, and then come back and share your thoughts, positive or negative. I know they're going to be positive. I know you're going to enjoy this particular film. And then we'll see you again in the not too distant future for another Classic Films review. See you next time.